At the University of Texas campus intends to plead not guilty by reason of insanity.
Attorneys for Kendrex White filed that intent with the court already and will be at a pretrial hearing tomorrow. KXAN's Alyssa Gord learned the family of the student who was killed is paying close attention to the development.
Of course, I was upset, but not surprised. I think we were expecting this.
Nearly a year after her 19-year-old son was killed, Lori Brown tells us from her home in Graham, Texas, that she's glad to see the case is moving forward.
How have you felt about how everything has gone so far, and how has it impacted you?
I've been very frustrated at times, and I feel very helpless at times.
Judge John Whizzer, who presides in Travis County, said in the more than 100,000 cases he's seen, only 12 used the insanity defense.
No, it's usually the people who are insane. It's obvious. Anyone could say, well, that person is clearly insane. There are not very many where the district attorney says, we think he is sane. The defense lawyers say, we think he's insane.
Last year, 2 doctors found White competent to stand trial. Whizzer says now the court has to determine whether White was insane when the stabbing happened, whether he knew what he was doing was wrong.
Often these things become a battle of the expert witnesses, whose experts are better, who are more persuasive, can convince the jury.
Lori says none of this will bring Harrison back, but she's ready to be patient through the process.
I know justice will prevail. They will prove the defense wrong. I believe he knew what he was doing that day. He knew exactly what he was doing.
And 2 things can happen after the defense makes their case for insanity tomorrow. First, if prosecutors agree, White can plead not guilty by reason of insanity. His attorneys would present their evidence, and the judge will send White to the North Texas State Hospital to be examined before more court proceedings. Option number 2, if prosecutors do not agree White was insane, he would go on to trial. The jury will see evidence, medical records, and hear expert testimony. They would then decide if White is guilty, not guilty, or not guilty by reason of insanity. And if White is found guilty, he would be sent to prison. If he's found not guilty because of insanity, he would be sent to a state mental hospital. For the same amount of time, he would be sent to jail for the crime. Sydney and Robert.
Well, early on in the investigation, we heard indications from White himself that this defense might be on the table. In a jailhouse interview last May, he said doctors told him he might have schizophrenia and epilepsy and had been hearing voices.
I do know that I have had problems with my mind, but I didn't think it would be to the point of interaction with someone, to the point of lethal interaction.
We are asking whether that interview conducted by NBC affiliate KPRC TV in Houston will be used as evidence in the trial, but we do not yet have an answer.